Well, hey everybody. Just Kira here, just talking about the things that can save America. We're ostensibly live streaming to X. I don't know, like every app I open today has this message about AWS affecting live streaming, recording. I don't know. I don't know. We're just really all hooked into the internet right now at this juncture in human history. And it's very disturbing. The more stuff comes up, the more I realize, we are really in it. All right, let's see. Well, welcome to the show. I'm Kira Davis. I am the author of Drawing Lines, Why Conservatives Must Begin to Battle Fiercely in the Arena of Ideas. I am the host of the now defunct Just Listen to Yourself with Kira Davis, still available in archived episodes on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you find your podcasts, or you can subscribe to my YouTube channel and see what videos are over there. JLTY was largely an audio podcast. I never really did move to video with that one, but obviously that's in the past. You're invisible without video. And so I just decided to rebrand, and I decided to rebrand. You go back and listen to episode 1. It's on Charlie Kirk. I did it on his birthday, and really, I think a lot of things have changed for me. And so I thought I should change the brand as well. So I want to try to do at least a live stream every week and then make that the podcast. And then maybe my goal is to get up to live streaming every day. That's my goal. Lots going on. It was the No Kings protest over the weekend. I don't know if you guys had a chance to get out to one. I don't know if you had a chance to participate, get out there and boogie with all of those really youthful, energetic protesters. Man, I'll tell you what, it was on Saturday. If you listened to the first episode, which was on Charlie's birthday, I talked a little bit about the new No Kings rally, and I told you what I think it was. And I thought it was designed to be their Charlie Kirk memorial. That it was designed to give them that sense of unity that we all had, we on the right, or it's not even we on the right anymore, just we normal Americans had on that day. And it was palpable, it was in the air, and I think we're still feeling it. We're going to it. I think that was a sea change for America. And the left recognizes that, particularly in their leadership, and they wanted that moment. That's why they made Jimmy Kimmel a martyr. And they were hoping that this No Kings rally would really energize and motivate the base the way that Charlie Kirk's memorial did. I believe that. And that's why they've kept the government closed, because they were trying to get to that rally, which is so irresponsible and so just, it's really cheesy and pathetic, really. It's really pathetic. And I believe for the most part, besides the true believers that showed up, most Americans saw that and believed that. And I want you to know, of course, we're hearing all kinds of ridiculous estimates about the crowd size. Isn't it amazing how the usual suspects in left-wing media, they will never give Trump rallies or Charlie Kirk rallies or conservative rallies their due. It's always just very small. It's a few 100,000 people, and it's millions and millions. And then their protests are always like the biggest protests ever. Listen, I don't know what the numbers are. I don't even really care. You may feel discouraged by the number of people there. I suspect if you're watching me right now that you don't. But you may feel discouraged by the number of people who were there. And I want to tell you that was all of them. It was a lot of people. But you need to understand that was all of them. Right? There's no secret base at home. Remember in 2024, remember back then when we were running the presidential election and Democrats were getting increasingly desperate. They realized we're really screwed here. And the narrative became for a hot second there. There's a shadow vote for Kamala. There's this underground vote. The way that Trump had secret voters in 2016, which was absolutely true. And that was the media's fault too. It was the media's fault that those people sort of came out of nowhere. We didn't come out of nowhere, or others didn't. I actually didn't vote for him in 2016. But neither here nor there. The media made it, they tried to make it seem like there were no voters. And so of course, they were hugely surprised. And I guess maybe they remembered that in the waning days of 2024 and thought, okay, maybe there's this secret voter. Remember all the ads for women? It was so bizarre. Democrats don't know anything about men, do they? They don't know anything about men or women for that matter. These ads came out and it was like, ladies, you can go to the ballot box and you can cast your vote for whoever you want. Your husband never has to know. Right? They had us all us married women cast as some kind of oppressed slave class, but that's what happens when you get Gen Z awfuls to run your social media. They don't know anything. They don't know real people. They don't know real men. They don't know real married couples. They don't know average American families. They really believe that marriage is slavery. They're on Reddit 24/7. And that's what Reddit tells you all the time. Marriage is slavery. And so they legit put out that ad campaign as if it would be persuasive, as if they were really being so clever. And it was just crazy. It just came up as bizarre. There's not this idea that like we married women are sort of cowering at the ballot box, having to go vote the way our husbands vote. And it's the opposite. It's the opposite. In married land, mostly how it works is women have their finger on the political pulse because politics hits women first and foremost. We keep the home, we keep the hearth, we raise the children, all of the prices, border, labor, employment, education, all of those things hit where we are first, right? We're that first line. And our husbands are on the they're on the border. They're on the outside. They're on the border of our home, protecting us from outside forces. So a lot of times it's women who are really plugged into politics. And a lot of times it's women who are guiding their husbands to vote, not the other way around. That's a generalization, of course. But I always tell this story about a quote I read when I was reading about the suffrage movement. And there was a famous American politician. I neglected to get his name, and someday I'll go back and look. But he said in this article I was reading, he said, women should not have the right to vote. If we give women the right to vote, they'll have two votes, their vote and their husband's vote. I think it's been pretty well established that women are pretty, they're very much leaders in their home when it comes to voting. But Democrats don't understand voters. So they had this whole, they don't understand women. They don't understand men. They don't understand normal relationships. They don't understand normalcy. It doesn't compute to them. And so they run these things and they think it's really clever. And the rest of us are going, you guys sound crazy. You sound like absolute lunatics. And that's what we were watching on Saturday. I don't think the majority of Americans really looked at what was going on and thought, this looks normal to me. This looks helpful. I would bet a lot of Americans didn't even know what was going on until they went out and about and maybe saw the boomers on the street corners. And these crowds, man, never did you see a sadder display of human villainry and scum. The Mos Eisley Cantina. My goodness, these people. The boomers are struggling, y'all. The boomers are struggling. And I know boomers get upset when I talk about the boomers because this is the difference between Gen X and boomers. Gen X doesn't take it personally if you say bad things about Gen X. We just go, oh, that doesn't apply to me, or it does, and we move on. But boomers aren't built like that. They're a different generation. So most boomers, when I'm talking about boomers, then I'll get a lot of angry messages from nice boomers, from the good boomers who are like, I'm not like that. I get it. If it doesn't apply to you, it doesn't apply to you. But we do know that there's a problematic boomer class, right? We have a name for them, the baby boomers. And they're the ones laying in the street and singing songs. They're always singing. They're always singing. It was just an utter failure on Sunday, yesterday. We woke up, my husband and I got ready for church, and my husband on the way to church said, I woke up this morning and I thought, wow, today seems exactly like Friday, which is to say that the No Kings rally made absolutely no difference. No Kings, no difference. The America was still the same. And again, this is what I'm telling you. When I say that they really wanted that rally, those rallies, to be a Charlie Kirk moment, a Charlie Kirk memorial moment. That's what they wanted. That's what they were aiming for. And because they recognized that America did change. America changed that day. America was changing as we were grieving Charlie Kirk. And you saw millions of people gathering together to worship Jesus Christ in unity. I think I said this in the last podcast, but I've been a Christian long enough to know that that's not for nothing. That's a very powerful thing. And the left felt it. I believe it was that day that they decided they were going to go for a No Kings, a mass nationwide No Kings rally. I believe that was the day. It was really hard to ignore how profound that moment was. And that's what they wanted for the No Kings rally. And that's why they were keeping the government shut, which is so cheap and lazy and gross. But whatever, they did it. And as my husband said, nothing changed. America felt exactly the same on Sunday morning as it did on Friday morning. When we memorialized Charlie, everything felt different. Everything felt different. Everything felt different the second we lost him. Everything felt different when we had that memorial. Everything felt different when we honored him on his birthday and Trump awarded him the posthumous Medal of Freedom Award. Everything has been different. And the left doesn't know. They don't understand how to make things different. They know that they don't like this different. They know that they want to make things different. They're different, right? During the Biden years. They see things changing, and typically they have been the catalysts for change in this country, haven't they? That's why they call us conservatives. We like to conserve. They've been the catalyst for almost all of the cultural change of the last 75 years. Any victories we've had have been victories aimed at stemming the tide, right? Holding back the floodwaters, holding the line for just a little longer, slowing the progression towards insanity and socialism. That's what we've had as conservatives and right wingers over the years. Those are the victories that we've had. This is the first time for almost all Democrats, I would say all of them who are alive right now. This is really the first time where they've had a significant real loss, including 2016, because right, they figured that out. They gamed the system, they set it up, they figured out how to get rid of Trump, and then they almost figured out how to put him in prison for the rest of his life and make sure that no Trump ever rose up again. They almost did it. But they've never been on the receiving end of change. They've always been the catalysts for change. When you say, oh, cities didn't used to be like this. New York City didn't used to be like this. You used to be able to walk down the street at night, or we didn't have this much crime. It didn't used to be, pick your scenario. I know you've said it a million times this week already, and it's already Monday. It didn't used to be like this. When we say it didn't used to be like this, that's because we've been handing over change to the progressive left and the Democrats for 75 years. When we say it didn't used to be like this, what we're saying is it used to be better. It used to be Republican, conservative. It used to be nice. It used to be normal. That's not to say that there weren't trying times. I hate to even ever have to qualify that. I don't actually like to qualify the things I say. I feel that listeners should be smart enough to understand history and context on their own. But let me say this, that we fought a civil war in this country, and that was brutal. The Civil War was brutal. So it's not like we haven't had our trials in this country. Slavery, brutal. It's not like we haven't had our trials. That's not what I'm saying. But we've always had a sense of what's normal, what's right. And our arguments are over who to pull in to what is normal and what is right? Who to welcome, who to allow the Constitution to embrace, which is everybody. I always say this about Black America. We are not fighting for our constitutional rights. We have never had to fight for our freedom. We've always had our freedom. It's right there in the Constitution. All men are created equal. It's right there. We've always had it. We've always been under that umbrella. We have had to fight to have our freedom restored. We've had to fight to have our human rights restored. But we always had the same human rights everybody else has, because they don't come from government. They don't come from our founding fathers. They don't come from Congress. They come from God. We had to fight to have them restored. So I mean returning to some idea, some sense of normalcy. And in this modern version of America, in this iteration of America, if everyone's welcome into the tent of normalcy, right? These are not, our tribe is America. Our tribe is not Black, it's not progressive, it's not LGBTQ, or non-binary, it's not woman, it's not pro-abortion. Those aren't our tribes. It's not California or New York. Those aren't our tribes. It's not Scottish or Italian heritage. Those aren't our tribes. Our tribe is America. If you want to be a normal American, welcome. You're in the tribe. You're in the club. Pull up a chair, grab a flag and a beer. Preferably not a Bud Light. Not yet. We're still mad at you. You guys are trying to make a comeback and I appreciate it. But that's what they want, the No Kings people. They really want that momentous sea change moment. And because they are so lost and so disconnected from what the average American wants, they don't know what to do. And they can't control their insane fringe element. So it doesn't matter how peaceful they are out there. They're some lunatics. Did you see that picture of that teacher who was mocking Charlie's death from the side of the road? Why are they always teachers? She was a teacher in the Chicago public school system. So is the teachers. Do you see? I give a speech. I have a speech. By the way, if you want me to come to your Republican club, I do. That's kind of my side gig. I love to come to your local club, your small club, 50 people or more, doesn't matter, and get and talk to you about Republican politics and conservatism and how we win, particularly here in California. So if you want to bring me to your club here in California, be sure to contact me. You can contact me at Kira Davis at pm.me. I had to think I have so many emails at Kira Davis at pm.me. I'll put it on the screen, but you can just hit me up on any social media. And one of the things I talk about, though, is in the speech, one of the things I talk about is the idea of normalcy and I already forgot where I was going with this. I talk to the clubs. I go up all up and down the state. Menopause. This is a menopause brain fog, right? This is I don't know how women do this on live TV. I actually talked to Tammy Bruce once about it briefly, and she was like, "Yeah, girl, the brain fog is real. It's tough when you're doing a live show." Regardless, that's neither here nor there. Neither here nor there. The point is this: that they're trying to get this moment that they don't have. They're trying to get a moment that they cannot welcome because they do not have the ability to shift and change. They're stuck. They have painted themselves into one corner and there's no way out of it. And they need to, I think this is where I was going. They need to denounce their fringe elements, right? They've embraced the fringe. Now the fringe is about to run New York City. You've got AOC and Bernie out there making a play for the leadership of the party, which cracks me up. And I mean, kudos to the Republicans for having unity on this messaging. In the past, you couldn't get Republicans to unify a messaging, but this Republican Party gets it. And every time you see a Republican out there talking about the government shutdown, you hear them say AOC and Bernie Sanders are the new leaders of the Democrat Party, because you know it's driving them crazy. It's driving the Chuck Schumers and the Nancy Pelosi's crazy. It's also going to sink the party if that's true. And they know that too. It's going to sink the party. They won't survive it. I don't think they'll survive it. Speaking of fringe elements, let's push on from this for a minute because there's another controversy going on. I feel that this is primarily an X controversy. I made a little video about these kids, the college Republicans who had that nasty text thread. I made a little video on my Instagram basically saying, I don't really care about it. We're going to forget about it in a few days. There are bigger fish to fry. Just fire them and ostracize them, like be done. You know, the idea that this is causing so much angst and like this has been banana in the tailpipe kind of thing. I'm not saying endorse it. Opposite, I guess, is what I'm saying. Well, just like ostracize them. They should be ridiculed and shamed. That's what you do with idiots. And don't hire them again. We don't have to spend all this time on this topic because it really has no relevance for all of the good work that's being done and all of the good work that is ahead. Now, I'm not saying that no one should be talking about it, or I'm not saying that no one should be concerned about it. I actually would, I don't know that I would ever say that. It's a pet peeve of mine. I hate it when people go, oh, sure, you're worried about this, but you don't want to worry about that. Well, I can walk and chew gum at the same time. But the other thing is, I don't have the capacity to worry and fret about everything, right? I have to pick my battles. I have to pick the things that I'm scared about and worried about. And then those are the things that I talk about, and somebody else will do something else. So while I'm a huge supporter of Israel and an independent Jewish state and my brothers and sisters as a Christian, while I'm a huge supporter of that, I don't spend a lot of time talking about Israel and the Jewish state and the state of anti-Semitism. Not a lot. I talk about it as it comes up in the news. That's not where my focus is. It doesn't mean that I don't care. I talk a lot about Black people. I talk a lot about Black culture and Black issues. That's really what makes me passionate and motivated and inspires me. My Jewish friends don't. I don't expect them to. So I don't feel like I have to be concerned about and talking about everything. And this is one of those things. So what I'm saying is, you want to talk about it, that's fine. And people probably should be. For me, it's neither here nor there. That seems to be the term of I always lock down on a term in my podcast, and then I just can't help but repeat it. Neither here nor there seems to be the term for today. But either way, it to me, it's a distraction and it's amateur hour. It's what Democrats would do to us 5 years ago and let us get all knotted up over it, and we cannot function and we don't know what to do, and we weaken ourselves, and we push out the infection, and then we have to start from scratch again. And it's just a lose-lose for Republicans. We're always losing this kind of game. And so in that respect, I just feel like we don't need to fall for that again. You don't need to fall for that. There's another piece of it, though, that's happening, which I'm finding. I don't want to make light of this, but I'm finding it amusing. I'm finding it amusing because this falls into this discussion I've been having for a while now about the difference between influencers and opinion journalists like me, right? What's an opinion journalist? It's a fake journalist, right? I don't go dig up stories. I opine on them. I'm not a real journalist. I don't do the work of an investigative reporter like a Jen Van Laar or Catherine Herridge or anyone out there. But I do dig up little known stories and report on them or give my opinion. That's what I do. Influencers are just what you want them to be. They're influential. They influence you. They make you buy things. They make you want things. They make you want to have a different opinion or a different pair of shoes. They influence you in some way. And I have been deeply troubled by the incursion of influence culture into Republican and conservative politics. Now, at first, I was very upset about it and felt like it was going to be the end of us and the end of the movement. And now I've settled down. I mean, look, I'm Gen X, I'm old, I'm middle-aged. I've settled down on it a bit and I understand what it is. I'm starting to get it. And it's here. It's what it is. And the influencers are a great help. I mean, look, I would not call Charlie an influencer, although I used to. I think after we lost him, now I think a little more deeply about him. But like, you look at a Benny Johnson, you look at like I don't know, I don't even like Candace Owens. Like, these are influencers. And I'm not even talking about their politics. Set that aside. These are not personal comments on them. All I'm saying is they have big followings. They do a lot of work on social media. And when they say things, people listen. That's an influencer. And I've learned to embrace it a bit more and accept it for what it is. The influencers are helpful. They help get the message out there. They're very influential. We should welcome that. But there's a dark side to influencer culture. And I think it it affects the conversations we're having, and it affects the quality of the conversations we're having. And I think it also affects, the information, but also the troops. I feel people, I don't even know how much of this I should say. But people, all right, I'll just be honest. I guess that's just the show, right? A lot of people out there, right, in fan land and follower land, you guys see your favorite influencers and TV personalities or columnists like me, maybe I'm lower level, but maybe you see your bigger names, your favorite influencers, and you feel like um they all have the same goals. They all have the same thoughts and opinions. When they get together, they're just having a great old time and they're all best friends. And some of us are, but this is a business and there's a lot of competition in this business. It's still a business. And I think a lot of you look at us and think, oh, we're all best friends. And that's not it at all. In a lot of cases, we're competitors and that can engender bitterness, or aggressive feelings at least. But in a lot of cases also, we really don't agree on stuff. And there's also jealousies flying around. And, so it's not automatic that your favorite influencers are friendly or friends or even think the same way. And so when you see them arguing, I think it gets people a lot more upset than I feel they should be, because these are just people who are expressing their opinions. But influencer culture has made it so that we see them as symbols instead of just sort of people who are talking into their cameras. So there's this big dust up between Matt Walsh and everybody else, I guess, about, I don't know. I've been trying to figure this out. I was offline the day everything popped off, and then I had to go catch up. What I can suss out is that Matt Walsh has been saying he's not willing to throw overboard young guys like these text thread guys. And he's not willing to just say, oh, I'm just done with, I guess we're categorizing those guys as the alt-right. Is that it? Okay. So I think this is another thing that I'm not sure about in this situation. And other people are saying, no, we have to excise the fringes from our body. I think he had a great discussion with Ben and Michael Knowles and Clavin the other day, which I watched a few minutes of to try to divine what's going on. I still didn't get it all. I am not sure who I'm supposed to be mad at. I'm being honest with you. I am not sure who I'm supposed to be mad at here. I see a lot of people on Twitter telling me I'm supposed to be taking a position or like I'm disgusting because I'm not condemning Matt, or I'm disgusting because I'm not condemning Shapiro. And I don't honestly know what's going on. And that's what tells me that you can ignore this. You don't need to get completely wrapped up in this. If you want to have a comment about it, it's fine. But here's what I don't even actually care. The reason I bring this up is because I think it's kind of funny that the influencers are fighting. And this is what happens when you are a brand, right? Instead of maybe something, instead of an authentic. I'm trying not to be insulting because I don't want to be insulting. I'm not trying to insult any of these people. I really am not. Besides Candace, maybe. Influencer is a thing. It's a lucrative thing and it's good for you. I'm just saying that it's when you're a brand, you're going to be held more accountable. You're going to have a higher standard, and you're going to have a lot more people coming at you. And I think that's that's what's going on here. You don't get out scot free, Matt. You don't get to just just have all the fans and they never turn on you. I've never seen a popular conservative, a figure who has not had their fan base turn on them at some point. It's just, and I'm talking about the really popular ones. I think it's a fact of life. And so I have found it a little amusing how that ecosystem is starting to eat each other. And then maybe it's made me glad that I'm not a part of it, although I've wanted to be in some respect over the years because of the money and the exposure. But I don't want to have to give up being able to say what I want to say freely. And yeah, I'm too much of a nobody for anybody to care. And I guess I'm glad I don't have to give that up, but I would like more money. But, but I see that Matt, he's getting it from all sides here. But I don't want this to be a segment that's a moral judgment about what those guys did. Go see my Instagram post. I promise you, I just really don't care. I just really don't care. I'm not going to hire them for a campaign. I'm not going to suggest anyone hire them for a campaign. I don't see them as the face of the Republican Party. I haven't seen a single person ask them to be. Here's, I think, the larger issue that I want to talk about here. Here's what I think is underneath this all. We are in the midst of one of the most frightening explosions of anti-Semitism in the United States, maybe ever. Considering where we've come from, if we look at this moment in history and we compare it to that, we're in the midst of it. And it's scary, and it's real, and it's something we never thought we would see. And the reason why it's important, like, I don't care how you feel about Israel or not Netanyahu or even Jews, like, whatever your opinion is of all of that, that's yours. But logically speaking, wherever you let anti-Semitism get a foothold in your society, nothing but chaos and destruction follows. It's just historical. So logically speaking, yeah, no matter how you feel about the rest of it, it's dangerous. And for obvious reasons that I shouldn't have to explain, Jewish Americans in particularly are very sensitive about anti-Semitism, and particularly when in a time when a lot of Jewish students are being attacked, going on campuses. Jewish people are being murdered or people are being murdered for their association with Israel, like the couple outside of the embassy in DC. So there are, and Ben Shapiro pointed it out on their podcast the other day. So there's good reason why perhaps Jewish Americans are a bit sensitive about this kind of stuff. But what I think is happening is that because we're all so sensitive about it on both sides of the fences, on the fringe side and the side that is worried about this, it's really hard to have basic just very basic conversations about it without somebody picking up some buzzwords. Charlie kind of talked about it towards the end there. He and Megan had an interesting discussion about it as well, which is like we're almost not allowed even to bring up any questions around this issue, because if it feels like you're straying, right, from this idea that we need to be concerned about anti-Semitism, that feels threatening to some people. So I think that's what's going on here. And I'm not, by the way, I'm not even condemning that. I'm just explaining the situation. I think that's what's happening. And that's why Matt and who I don't even know, who is he even all arguing with? Guys, I'm too old for this. I don't even know what's happening. And I want to tell you that I spent a good 20 minutes yesterday just combing through X timeline on the hashtags, trying to suss out what the root of the problem was, what people were really angry at Matt for. And in minute 20, I thought to myself, if I'm having to work so hard to understand what this story is, then maybe I don't need to understand it. Maybe it's just not that important. And I don't think it's that important. And I really don't. And I think that if people who are thinking it's that important I think they're being oversensitive. I do. That being said, if you want to discuss it, someone needs to talk about it, I guess, but it's just not going to be me. I'm just not there. I refuse to I got enough stuff that drives me crazy and gives me heartburn and keeps me up at night. So it's not that that I'm uncaring. I just have other things that I'm caring about more right now. Just like you have other things you're caring about. You don't care. You're not going to spend a lot of your time talking about school choice or Black kids who are trapped in failing schools in inner cities. That I don't think you're a bad person because of that. I think you have other things to care about. That's where your wheelhouse is. This is my wheelhouse. So I think what I'm saying also is there's a lot of people out there now who are also, they're upset because there's not enough people. It's not just that we're not, or I say we, but whoever is not saying anything, but they want you to stand up and talk about these guys, talk about these texts and condemn them roundly and soundly, or condemn the alt-right. Is that a conversation that's going on X right now? Like we all need to be condemning the alt-right or something. I feel like that should be implied if you're in this business and you have done a good job of presenting yourself and who you are to your followers and listeners. I don't know why you would have to clarify that. I don't feel like there's anybody who would question where Kira Davis would stand on the spectrum here. I do bristle at, and that being said, I do bristle at people telling me what I have to condemn or not condemn, or I have to speak out. Again, this is an issue I actually did say something about, but I think I do share the angst I've seen on Twitter over this. Again, when I was reading through the timelines and trying to see what the story, trying to get what the story was, get to the root of it. I'm seeing a lot of angst about that. And I think that's another layer of this. I think people are feeling a little bit sensitive. We don't want to turn into the left where suddenly you're being condemned for not saying things, right? You don't want it to be that either. I think that's what's underneath this. I do think that's a worthy conversation to have, actually. I think that's a worthy conversation to keep under your hat, put a pin in it, choose your metaphor. Keep it in the back of your mind, because here's what's happening. We've won now. We're in victory lane. And we don't know what that's like. We're not used to it. So we as an ideological movement has won. We're the victors, and we're in control of the culture, which is weird for the most part. We've still got a few institutions to purge. It's definitely happening. By the way, I went to see a movie called Truth and Treason the other night by Angel Studios. I'm going to write a review of it. I haven't had time to sit down and do it, but I went to a screening in LA. Great film. Truth and Treason is the story of the youngest victim of political persecution in Nazi Germany. It was a 16-year-old boy or a 15-year-old boy, 14, who was executed for sharing contraband communications, right? For sharing pamphlets exposing Hitler for who he really was. Great, great film. It actually was adapted from a series. Somebody made a series and they pared it down to a movie, and which had to have been really difficult. And they did a great job. The cast was there. Got a chance to do Q&A with them afterward. If you have a chance, I think it's in theaters now, so it's playing in select theaters. If it's near you, I highly recommend it, and you'll enjoy it. I'm saying this as somebody who hates the message movies. Like, I'm not one who's like, oh, a conservative made a movie, go see it. Because if it's not good, don't waste your time. I don't think you should go see a movie just because it has a message you like in it. Conservatives often make bad movies. This is not a bad movie. This is a really good movie. You will enjoy it. It's well produced. It's well written. It's well acted. You're going to see some faces in there you recognize. A beautiful, beautiful film. Okay. Where did I go? Oh, we do. Where am I going from here? Okay. Back. Reeling it back in. We're in control of the culture for the most part, or we're beginning to be. I believe it's only a matter of time before we really are resetting the culture. Here's what I'm saying. We're not used to winning. We're used to uniting and loserdom. And now we're winning. And when you are at the leader of the pack, you're not looking at the people in front of you anymore. You start suddenly looking at the people next to you. That's what's happening here in Republican land and conservative land. We're in the lead suddenly. We don't know what to do. We're looking at the people next to us. So I think these are precarious times for the conservative movement, and even for people who have been in positions of great influence and power in the conservative movement and the Republican movement, because those people also have been used to being the people we look to. They're the people with money and they're the influential people. We look to them as leaders and we don't need them so much anymore. And so some of those people can suddenly become a little bit strange because they're not used to. Perfect example. I'm not saying I see anybody doing that, by the way. This is a warning. But here's a great example, Bill Kristol, right? From the Bulwark, or the guys over at the Lincoln Project. Those guys, Bill Kristol, great. I read Bill Kristol my whole conservative life. Since I became a conservative, he's one of the first columnists that I read regularly when I became a conservative. And then Trump, and then he broke Bill. Well, how did that happen? It happened because Bill, who I truly believe was sincere about all those opinions, Bill got high on his own supply, and this happens, and you're not immune from it because you're an intellectual. I would say you're more vulnerable to it because as an intellectual, you can convince yourself that you deserve it, that you deserve these accolades and the praise, and you are smarter than people, and you do know more than people. So Bill got high on his own supply, and he became a person who felt like he earned and deserved the position of thought leader. And so when we were losing and looking to guys like Bill for clarity and for, ways to frame our positions, yeah, it was all copacetic. It was great. It was a great ecosystem, a symbiotic relationship. When Trump came and Trump proved himself to be actually the kind of leader we didn't know we were starving for. And so he replaced all those other little minor leaders we were looking for. But even more than that, what happened was we realized we actually knew better than Bill. We actually realized we knew better than the intellectuals. We figured it out, and Bill got mad. The Bills of the world. And I don't mean to single him out, but he's just an example I'm using. The Bill Crystals of the world got mad that we made them wrong. They were mad that they were wrong. And they took it out on us, and they're still taking it out on us. So that's how that happens. You got to be careful. And now we are in this position of influence and power. And a lot of our thought leaders, our influencers on the right, have become very wealthy people by leading in a time when we were starving for leaders. And now we're victorious, and we have lots of leaders, but we have the ultimate leader, not the ultimate leader, but an ultimate leader in Donald Trump. We have this great leader who's inspiring all these little leaders. We don't necessarily need our influencers and our thought leaders to guide us anymore. They're entertaining, and that's, great. Keep clicking on them, keep, consuming that. But they're not thought leaders. And there's going to be a few of them you are going to find their positions are going to change because they're angry about that. They got high on their own supply, and they got used to the idea that they deserve to be your thought leader, and they're better than you. They're more informed and smarter. Again, I am not pointing out one single person because I'm not seeing it yet. I'm just saying, look at the Bill Crystals of the world and be careful, be cautious. Okay. Before we go, I wanted to get to, let's see, there was a little commentary I wanted to do. Oh, let's play this clip from Donald Trump. Excuse me, about Donald Trump from Robert. Share my screen here. Robert De Niro. Sometimes I can't even believe he's still alive. You know what I mean? Like, wow, it's crazy. All right. Robert Redford talking to, what is this man's name? He used to, is he still in charge of the White House press pool? And then they gave him a show on MSNBC. Guys, I watched Simone Sanders and Michael Steele for the first time. I watched a full show last week of theirs. What are you doing over there at MSNBC? It wasn't just that they were, it wasn't just that they had all the wrong opinions, which they do, of course. They were just bad. It just was like, I felt like I was watching two cousins do the cute little report at the family reunion. Like, oh, you know what we're going to do? We're going to let Simone and Michael do like a TikTok report for the family reunion all weekend, and then we'll post it on our Facebook page. That's what it felt like. It's weird. They're cracking jokes, but never giving information. They tell you things that are true, but then they never back it up with any kind of data. It's a mess over there. Then they gave this man his own show, whom you cannot convince me that this is not Jordan Peele. I have not seen this man and Jordan Peele in the same room. I don't even, you know what? I'm trying not to be too mean. Let's just play this. Wait, let me set it up. Robert De Niro is telling you that small town America votes for Trump because they're stupid. So I want you to look at this picture of Mr. De Niro, right? Look at this. This is a man who says other people's words for a living. When he's saying other people's words, oh, it's amazing. No one's better at it, right? Compare that to what happens when he has to say his own words and decide if you're going to take him seriously. But this is Robert De Niro talking about small town America, why they vote for Trump.
The people they reach, and I'm certainly not reaching those people on this program, but maybe through little sound bites and this and that, and the internet and so on. They're trying they're used to seeing Trump do his stuff, and they talk and they listen, and that's the truth to them because they don't listen to anything else. It's somewhere way out in the Midwest, somewhere out west, in certain places, the rural places. That's the truth because he gets the airtime. And I think that we need more airtime, just more push against and not. I wish that you can't do this in some ways, but that the news media could find ways to kind of ignore or tamp down nonsense from Trump. It's just total nonsense. But those people out there listen to it and assume if it can be on the air and it's out there, it's the truth.
Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Oh, wow. That's how he thinks of you. Look how he thinks of you. Did you see how he talked about the Midwest? Donald Trump, there's so much wrong with this clip. Oh, these people that they're out there in the West, the Midwest. Like, he's so dismissive. He waved y'all away. Oh, it's just out there in the Midwest. They go bunch of idiots, you bunch of morons out there in the Midwest. You're in the Midwest. You must not have any access to any books. Also, this is how stupid he is. Like, you're a stupid old man, Robert De Niro. I will be mean. You are the stereotype of an idiot boomer, right? Who doesn't understand anything. Because he's talking about the losers in flyover country as if they've never seen the internet. Right? He's talking about airwaves and broadcasting as if the majority of Americans get their information from the nightly news. Robert De Niro is so old and so stupid that he thinks Americans still sit down to watch the news at 5 o'clock. And that's what the people in in Midwest America, in flyover country, that's the only news they have access to. And that also then that somehow their mainstream newscasters are somehow only playing Trump talking points. It's a bubble, right? And he even says, he's like, I know none of you people, they're probably not watching this. Oh, this esteemed program. He thinks he's on a program that a lot of people watch, right? He's on MSNBC, and he thinks that a lot of people are seeing him. And he doesn't understand. No, those people that they're not watching me here. Of course, no, they're not. Bob, no one's watching you. No one's watching you on MSNBC. But that's how out of touch. I think this is, I wanted to play it for you because I thought it was a perfect clip to encapsulate the Democrat Party. And this is exactly, that's who their base is. That's the energy. It's Robert De Niro. And they brought him on MSNBC as if he were the energy, right? They were proud. They were proud to bring Robert De Niro's 85-year-old ass onto MSNBC. This man said last year he just had a baby with his 30-year-old girlfriend. And he said, oh, I can't hold the baby. I'm too old. I don't hold the baby. He's too old to hold his own babies. Like, no, we're not taking you seriously, Bobby. Get out of here. But again, it's emblematic of the Democrat Party. They are old, they are broken, and they live in bubbles. They don't even know how Americans consume media anymore. And then you caught that at the end when his call was for censorship, right? Because again, they have no other playbook. Well, there was only a way to prevent. He literally said that without an ounce of humility or shame. We've got to, if only there were a way to stop Americans from hearing what Trump had to say. By the way, Bobby, y'all did that. You're sitting there at MSNBC. That's an outlet that 4 or 5 years ago said, we will no longer cover the president live. We will add context. They were following the lead of the New York Times. And a lot of other outlets did the same. So, by the way, you already tried that. Bobby, the problem isn't President Trump. The problem is the truth. And sooner or later, the truth will always come out. You cannot contain the truth. You can't contain it. You tamp it down, you make it harder to find. But, you know, this is what is burning them. This is what's burning them up, y'all. They know they can't, they're hopeful now. They can't admit it, but this is the underlying truth that Donald Trump is not the movement. MAGA is the movement. And they think that when Trump goes, the movement's going to go. And they're trying to wait him out. And they're hoping that it's going to go away. But underneath, they know that this is not about Trump. This is about America. And that's scary to them because that means we're going to win. I mean, we're not depending on a leader. We're not depending on a Barack Obama or, God forbid, a Kamala Harris. We're not, we love Trump. We're depending on him to do the things he promised us he would do. But this is a movement. It's bigger than him. And that's what they can see. And that's what they're scared of. All right. I want to end today by reading. I'm going to do a little teaser because I'm doing a little bonus content over my Substack. So you go to Just Kira Davis, JOST Kira Davis on Substack. Links in my bios are on X. Follow through. But I'm going to do some bonus. I want to do, I love giving unsolicited advice. So advice to people who don't ask for it. I love relationship advice. So I have been collecting columns and to read and to pick through. And I'm going to do bonus content on my Substack, unsolicited advice behind the paywall. But I'm going to give you a little teaser today because I found this and I thought, oh, this will be a great one to tease on Just Kira Davis, to tease on the show. So let's see here. I gotta go into my save. I thought this one was good because this one's a political one. But I love relationship ones. I do like a lot. My favorite subreddit is like Waiting to Wed. It's so sad though. It is a complete chat room of women asking, when is he going to propose? I get a lot of fodder from that one. All right. So I'll read to you. Here's your unsolicited advice teaser. Go subscribe to my Substack and become a paying member if you want to see the unsolicited advice series, which will drop tomorrow after this drops. All right. This person writes, my husband and I have different political views, and it might be the thing that tears apart our marriage. She said, it's a she. We are newlyweds. We have been married for almost a year, and before that, together 5. He is the best, and she writes it in all caps, the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't know true love existed until I met him. The life we have built together is amazing in every other way, but our political views. We just had our worst fight over politics and about how and why we feel the way we do about certain subjects, and we cannot meet in the middle about these subjects. Okay. Ladies, why do you have to meet in the middle about your personal opinions? This is why men hate us. This is why men get so upset at us. You don't have, why does he have to meet? Why do we have to meet in the middle on our opinions? Frankly, marriage is not a meet in the middle thing. It's not a compromise thing. Are you going to have to set aside some of your desires and wants or some of the wins you want in your marriage to be in a relationship with another human being? Yes. But marriage isn't a compromise thing, although that word gets thrown around a lot. Marriage is serving. Marriage is a serving thing. You are serving your partner. So there's no like, you know, when you're serving someone, are you going, I'm going to serve you 50%? I'm going to serve you half of the way. I'm going to compromise in how much I serve you. It's serving. So this idea that you got to meet your husband, but this idea that you got to meet your husband in the middle of on your politics, what do you mean? Is he supposed to he's supposed to come your way, you're supposed to come his way, and then you have no authentic opinions anymore? These are your opinions. They're supposed to be where they are. You're not talking about doing the dishes, lady. It's so weird. She said, okay, she admits this. I understand the problem is on my end. I can connect a statement he makes to a political one. So she's saying, and you know what? And we know whose politics are who here, don't we? And that's so freaking sad. It's so freaking pathetic, ladies. Liberal women, you're embarrassing, and I know what's going to happen to this lady, but I'll tell you at the end what I think is going to happen to her and what she deserves. Again, please, I'm menopausing. I don't even know how to pretend that this is anything other than that. I'm just sweating all the time. Can't stop it. She says, I'm also very active at the ballot box. I do my best to keep up with what's happening in the government. He does not. Okay, fine, good. You know who else is like that? Us, me and my husband. I keep up with all the politics, and he comes home at the end of the day and goes, what happened? What's going on? What do I need to know about? He doesn't. There can't be two of us in a relationship. Someone needs to be normal and go to work and pay the bills, right? We can't all be, huddled in a corner in the fetal position every single day because of the last election, right? Only one of us can do that. There can only be room for one in a marriage. And even though I don't agree with him, I still try to get him to come vote with me because I understand the importance of it. I don't know where I'm going with all of this. Just how do I reconcile these differences? I've tried to keep the peace and agree to disagree. That only works until it doesn't. These aren't views that we can meet in the middle on. Okay, then why are you complaining that he's not meeting in the middle with you? Again, like, why are liberal women like this? He's not meeting in the middle with you because you don't want to meet in the middle with him. Why? Because no one wants to do that on your political views. They're your views for a reason. She says, I'm afraid that these arguments are just how things are going to go for the rest of our lives, and I want to do what I can to make that not the case. How do I navigate this? Okay. All right. So the comments were depressing. The comments were so depressing. And they give you a little peek into the window, into the mind of a liberal woman and what liberal women have to deal with. Because they take these problems to the internet, and the internet's full of idiots who aren't married and don't understand marriage and don't understand relationship. And most of them don't even have fathers. They've never seen a real man. Here's the top comment, has over 1,000 likes. I think in the current political climate, there's significant differences in the morals and ethics of each side. My moral compass has to align with those I share time and love with. So in my opinion, there's no compromising on this. It's 1,000 comments of people telling this woman to divorce. And I want to remind you what she said in the beginning. He is the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't know true love existed until I met him. Why? Because he's a conservative, because he's a Republican man, right? He treats her the way a wife should be treated. I can tell you that. I'm just reading between the lines, but I know this is true. The life we have built together is amazing in every way but one: political views. She said he's the best thing that ever happened to her. And it's 1,000 comments of people going, you have to divorce him. Is there any wonder there's a loneliness epidemic out there? I always used to say you can get over anything. You can, politics. I know plenty of people who are married and share different politics. They don't talk about it, or they're not that serious about it, whatever. They do it the way they do it. It happens. It can happen. But I don't think in this day and age, like single men, no, you cannot be dating liberal women because you're not even safe 5 years into a marriage. She's married to this man and talking to people about divorce, talking about how she might not be able to continue her life with the best person she's ever met. You cannot marry a liberal woman. I would not have said this before a year ago, before November of 2024, but you cannot. Men out there, you can't trust her. I just realized I was liberal when I got married. I was a liberal woman when I married my husband. Now, how did that work? My husband was conservative, but not political. So he just we never had the political conversations because he always stayed away from politics. And then I just had those conversations with other people, which, yeah, that's how our relationship works. He's not that guy. My husband's a sports guy. He's a mellow guy. He's laid back. He's happy go lucky all the time. He's not I'm the deep thinker. My husband's the guy who will plan a great dinner, right? It's always been that way. Even in the beginning, I was a liberal. Well, thank God we didn't have that role. Because then I met his dad, and his dad's a conservative and a Republican, and he really challenged a lot of my views and ideas. And then that's how I became a conservative. So it can happen. If you're married to one right now, you took vows, like, do what you can. It takes two. I get that. And I have, by the way, I have heard from multiple, not just one or two. I'm talking like maybe I can count on two hands at this point. Men who have DM'd me privately to say, like, as I've been not for anything nefarious, but because I talk about this topic a lot, who have DM'd me privately to say, I'm in the midst of a separation over Donald Trump. And you guys know that my mom divorced our family over Donald Trump. Like, I haven't talked to her since all that she's gone. She's just dead. She hasn't tried to reach out to anybody you know, it's an infection. Like, it's for real serious. So I get it. But honey, if for some strange reason you see my commentary on this column, you go find a counselor. You go find someone who, as a matter of fact, you don't find that person, you let your husband find that person. And you know that he's the best person. You've said it. He's the best person. He takes care of you. You love him so much you didn't know you could be. You trust him? Do you trust him? Tell him to go find a marriage counselor, and then you guys work together on this. And if you're the problem here, lady, it's not your husband. If you can't come to a place where you recognize that you are so blessed to have this man, and maybe, just maybe, honey, his political views are tied to the way he treats you. Maybe the reason you love him so much is because he thinks the way he thinks. Maybe the reason why you didn't marry a liberal male feminist is because you can't trust them. It's because you wouldn't feel loved and cared for. Would you think that lady that wrote this article, this column, would you ask yourself this, can I trust that in 2 years' time, my husband's not going to turn around and say, I think your political views are too much for me. I'm divorcing you. I bet the answer to that question is, yeah. I bet you're going to say, he would never do that. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to think about it. And look at this. Your husband, I don't even know if he knows you're asking questions like this. You married him saying he's literally the best person you know. You said it, and you're ready to leave him over politics. Yeah, you are the problem. And I got a lot of conservative lady friends who are single and would love a man like that and a husband like that in a heartbeat. I'm more concerned about the comments on that thread. 1,000 people who are like, yeah, divorce him. You know how hard it is to find someone to love you in this world, to love you unconditionally, to care for you? Ladies, right? Chime in, drop in the comments how hard it is to find a man who's like, I'm going to take care of you and I'm going to be loyal and faithful to you. All the people in the comments telling her to divorce that guy, they're all lonely. I bet most of them are single. So I suggest, lady, you go. I would be interested to hear like an update. Leave your husband and then update in 5 years. And I can tell you exactly my predictions is she's going to be lonely. And she's going to hit the dating scene and she's going to start dating all the male and she's going to have the litmus test, right? She's going to get a septum ring and get some kind of pin so that y'all can recognize each other. I dye your hair blue or something so that you got the costume on. And then she's going to go, but I don't know why I can't find anyone nice. Why can't I? There's no nice men out there. The dating pool is, and she'll deserve it. And then she'll look back on her ex-husband's Facebook page one day and she'll see that he's very happy with a very trad wifey woman who lets him drive when they go out and lets him pay the bills and open doors for her and is grateful that he provides for her and is and is interested in his opinions, not because they match up with hers, but because they are different than hers. You're going to be sad and lonely, and you're going to die alone. That's my prediction. You drop yours. Drop in the comments. Follow me on X at Real Kira Davis, on Instagram at Just Kira Davis, JUST Kira Davis. Follow me on Substack. That's Just Kira Davis on Substack. And if you want some non-political palate cleanser listening, definitely subscribe to my my cheesy Christmas movie podcast with my good friend Amelia Hamilton called A Journey to Christmas Land. And we're on Substack and YouTube as well. And we just review cheesy Hallmark Christmas movies. And we had to expand it though. We used to just stay in the Hallmark universe, but Hallmark has been getting racy lately, and we weren't comfortable. And a matter of fact, just today, I saw Hallmark advertise one of their Christmas movies. It's a lesbian love story about two lesbians who adopt a baby. That's on Hallmark. And I went to the comments of that post to see, and it's nothing but praise and adoration. They are clearly deleting all of the comments. I'm going to be curious to see how Hallmark has shrunk their audience with this gambit, because that's not the Christmas universe. And by the way, I don't care if you want to have a gay Christmas story, doesn't fit in with the theme of Jesus. But if you want to have a gay holiday story, like, I don't care. That's fine. That's you, but that's not Christmas Land, is it? That's not Hallmark, is it? Just like that's why we've made it a Christmas Land universe. It's not a Hallmark universe anymore. We've just expanded it. Anywhere that's showing cheesy Christmas Land movies. But it's just like when I go to Christmas Land, I don't expect to see full black casts every movie. I don't expect to see that. I don't even want to see that. I like seeing it, but I'll go to BET Christmas movies for that, right? That's not what I expect to see in Christmas Land. I have a certain idea of what I'm going to tune in for. And anything else is not Christmas Land, is it? How could I get excited about the black best friend if everyone's black? You got to get excited when they put black people in the movies. It's all part of it. It's all part of what it is. I don't have a problem with it, but put it somewhere else. That's not what the brand is. So, go sign up, go subscribe to our YouTube channel, Journey to Christmas Land. That's the best place to go. Buy all my stuff. I don't know. Bye, I guess. I don't know what else to say. I'm just Kira Davis, just talking about the things that make America great. Catch you later.